We now return to Advance Wars. Next up is Mission 7. Lucky number 7 because it's where we get introduced to air units. Naturally, however, it's the enemy that has them. We just get the anti-air units. But still, air units. Fun. So as far as chapter names go, I think I like the one in Days of Ruin just a little bit better once again. I'm probably going to say that quite a lot, but still worth pointing out. So, next up on our journey, we need to kind of figure out how to deal with the food shortage problem because in the previous mission, the mysterious newcomers decided to blow up the only known factory that still produces food. And we don't exactly know where any other such locations would be. However, it seems that Isabella knows something. How nice of her to conveniently have the solution to all our problems once again. Very mysterious. Speaking of mysterious, did anybody notice that Isabella seems to have gold eyes? Like, in 2 other settings that I know of, gold eyes were kind of a big deal. Of course, I don't really know if gold eyes mean anything in this setting. They might mean something. I'll have to double check and see if any other characters have gold eyes. So not only does she know that there is another factory somewhere that produces food, she knows exactly where it is, down to the coordinates. A nuclear shelter, she says. You know, that's interesting. It's not nukes that caused the post-apocalyptic setting here, it was meteors, but apparently they still have nukes. Well, I mean, of course they would. Naturally, this shelter was only meant for the top brass. Of course it was. Because we all know who's really important in an army, right? So he says President's daughter in Days of Ruin, but Prime Minister's daughter in Dark Conflict. I did not notice that at first. Probably more of that localization stuff because Dark Conflict is an EU localization. And we have the first mention of IDS. We'll learn more about them later. Well, we might as well go out to those coordinates, because it's better than just wandering around aimlessly. Oh, but what's this? Action already. A friendly unit, as a matter of fact. Yes, now we get introduced to the first of 2 air specialists in Days of Ruin. For some reason, there's 2 of them. In Days of Ruin, he's called Waylon, and in Dark Conflict, he's called Finn, which I just learned prior to this recording. Which is very interesting, because there's also a Fire Emblem character named Finn. I don't really know if there's any special meaning behind either of these names. Waylon is very quick to make his opinion of this post-apocalyptic setting very clear. Ain't nothing wrong with the world ending. He's captain of the 13th Airborne. The number 13. Interesting. Yeah, lottery winners with the number 13. You know, I'm probably reading way too much into numeric symbolism, but we're in Mission 7, which is a lucky number, and we're introduced to the captain of the 13th Airborne Unit. Yeah, there's even more of that later on, by the way. Numeric symbolism, that is. So, the yellow unit is just going to sit there and do absolutely nothing. Yes, Lynn, I will most certainly not use it for target practice. I know nothing of what this guy is going to do in the later missions, and do not think I should shoot him down right now. You know, I wonder, you know, it would be interesting, since it's just going to sit there and do nothing, it would be interesting if he really could be shot down by the player, and then you would get, like, this, this weird game over. Yeah, kind of like in Metal Gear Solid 3, where you can kill off certain characters before, like, even though they're supposed to canonically survive later on in the game, and then you get a time paradox game over. That'd be funny if they did something like that. So the enemy air units they start just in range of our missiles. Missiles are no stranger to Advance Wars, but they did change in this game. They now have a maximum range of 6, which makes them actually pretty useful. Like, not super useful, you'd probably still prefer anti-air units, but kind of sort of usable. In PvP, the players are known to use them on occasion. It's still an improvement in my opinion. Also, I should take care of the unit names right away. The anti-air is called anti-air in both versions. Missiles, the same in both versions. However, the fighter is called the Interceptor in Dark Conflict. I don't really know why. Like, in Dual Strike, wouldn't the fighters have just been called fighters? Why did they change the Interceptor in Dark Conflict? It's interesting. It's also interesting because the Duster is called the fighter in Dark Conflict. The Duster is basically just a weaker version of the fighter, kind of like the tank is to a medium tank. So, calling it a fighter in Dark Conflict caused a little bit of confusion when the game first came out, but people very quickly settled on just using the US localization names for everything. So, a little bit of an interesting thing to know. And before I forget, let's look at the War Room for this mission. The War Room is handled this time by Dr. Morris. I don't really know why. I don't think he's the first person I would go to for tactical knowledge. But I suppose if I were looking for a joke, I would go to him first. This is actually the first mention of Lazuria, so the blue units on this map are from a country called Lazuria, which comes from Lapis Lazuli, which is a blue gemstone that is said to bring good luck, I think. I don't actually know for sure. But we're in Mission 7. 7 is a lucky number. We're up against Lazurians, and Lapis Lazuli in a couple other games increases the luck stat. So, that's my logic. And I haven't really paid attention to the advice in this mission. I should probably listen to the advice because I would kind of need it. So anyways, Lazuria is called Zephyria in Dark Conflict, which comes from a wind god, I think. Something like that. I mean, we do fight an air battle with them in our first battle with them, so I guess the name kind of makes sense. We will pursue the issue of the pony another time. Isn't that perfect out of context? Like, we should start making out of context Days of Ruin memes. That would be very funny. Oh, Lynn! It was shot off in the war, very sad. Yeah, I'm guessing she wasn't a fan of a certain TV show when TV was still a thing. Boy, oh boy. Alright, so there is some dialogue on turn 2. I should really research all of this beforehand, but there is dialogue on turn 2. Another new character. Her name is Tasha in Days of Ruin and Zadia in Dark Conflict. One of the reasons I wanted to do this playthrough in the first place is because I looked at a later mission's dialogue with Tasha in it, and I noticed that Tasha, her dialogue in Days of Ruin is a little weird. So this is going to be one case where I actually prefer the Dark Conflict version of the character. But we'll get to that later. For now that there's no more dialogue until the end of the mission, I'm going to switch over to playing Days of Ruin on its own. Anything to make this not take as long, because like that 50-minute video, I wasn't really a huge fan of having to make a video that long, but that's what you get when you play two missions in one video. So this fighter just decided to waltz right into missile range. How about that? That happened a couple of times in previous playthroughs of the mission. It's very odd. Like, the AI is supposed to be a lot smarter than it was in, well, at least a lot smarter than it was in Advance Wars 2. It's definitely way smarter than in Advance Wars 2. I'm gonna lure in that bomber straight away. Maybe it'll go for, this tank and be in missile range yet again. So anyways, I thought the Dual Strike AI was pretty good. So this game should have somewhere around decent AI as well. Come on, go off to the left. Thank you. Anyways, one thing I remembered, like, I've been showing off the war rooms and all of the dialogue and stuff, but one thing I haven't really shown off is what happens when you lose missions, because in previous Advance Wars games, when you lose missions, like, you would get advice on how to complete the mission better, but in this game, they actually treat it like your characters are getting blown up. Like, they give a sort of bad ending, game over of sorts. Of course, there's really not much substance to it, so I don't really think I need to go out of my way to show all of that off. Besides, I'm 7 missions in. What do you want me to do? Make it a video dedicated to game overs? Reminds me of that Ace Attorney playthrough I was thinking of doing, of the ones with Edgeworth in them. The one starring Edgeworth. Alright, so there's a bomber here that I want to avoid. Kind of want to lure it in. Maybe with the 1 HP tank, assuming the Duster doesn't get it. Let's see. By forming a wall here, the Duster will not be able to hit the B-Copter. The Duster is basically an anti-B-Copter unit, though it does a number on some units on the ground as well. It actually gets used fairly often in PvP. So let's see, I have some money, so what should I should probably get tanks, because you don't really start off with a very big ground force at the start of this mission. So Wayland's fighter is sitting still, but I actually think it's possible for him to take a kill if an enemy decides to get very close to him. Or if they attack him and he kills them on the counterattack. Right, so I'm eventually going to have to move in here. I think I can strike the rocket. And, oops, zoomed in. You can zoom in. I don't really like zooming in. I like to see as much of the battlefield as possible. So this does a decent amount of damage, and the defense from the city should make it so that the Dusters don't do a whole lot to me. In fact, why don't I just, since I've damaged it, I might as well just move in. Let's see here. I guess the Battlecopter is going to have to defend my backside from this tank. It's getting a little bit too close for comfort. I suppose I will use this artillery to take out this mech. I can do that from outside of bomber range. And I know it's going to be... Let's try luring in the bomber with a 1 HP tank, why not? I can afford to lose at least 1 unit. Alright, so with that out of the way, I'll just make one more bike and on to the next turn. Alright, so this is pretty much going according to plan. I'm not going to use the anti-air on that. Can the recon do it? Yeah, the recon can definitely do it. So that's good enough. And what a surprise, I can actually fire at both of these planes with the air units. As smart as the AI may or may not be in this game, it's still not exactly good at avoiding missile range. So nothing will stop me from capturing that HQ now. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and I figure I should demonstrate joining at some point. Alright, so that infantry is not going to be a threat. I will just deal with it on the next turn. Oh, you see, they're actually being a little bit annoying and trying to actively avoid the anti-air unit. You can make things a little bit annoying by forming a wall because, you know, one thing that doesn't change about war is that fighters still can't fly over walls of ground units. It's one thing that doesn't change all that much. As they say in Fallout, war never changes. But as they say in Metal Gear Solid 4, war has changed. So, I guess you could say it either way. It's all very philosophical. Oh, maybe not the best target to fire at. Well, at any rate, we're only one turn away from capturing the HQ anyways, so I could do it by HQ, I could finish off this duster. Either way, it doesn't matter. So, I'm going to move over to Dark Conflict and complete that version of the mission, and I will be right back. Alright, I'm back, and I've noticed one other thing. Notice the spelling of the words Battle Helicopter between the two versions. B-Copter in Days of Ruin, Battle Heli in Dark Conflict. I just think that's a teensy bit interesting that they spell it a little bit differently in the two versions. No idea what the T-Copter is called quite yet, if that's any different. Oh, I very nearly had my capture delayed. That would have been very embarrassing. Alright, so on both versions I managed the HQ capture, so Mission 7 is completed. There we go. Zadia is not nearly as angry, I guess. So that went a little bit differently between the two versions, but it's an S rank on both of them. Just 1 point difference. And that is that. Mission 7 is completed, and we can move on to Mission 8. Now, I'm amazed at how much of a... Well, Waylon is very forward about his opinions, and it's actually kind of hilarious, if you ask me. Like, a little over the top, I suppose. And that goes for both versions, by the way. Now, I guess long story short, he's very happy about the fact that he has nobody to answer to now. First mention of Greyfield, who in Dark Conflict is called Sigismundo. Alright, I'll go with it. That's not the weirdest name change in the game. This is interesting because it's called the New Rubenel Army in Days of Ruin and the New Laurentian Army in Dark Conflict, which the acronyms become a little bit weird in Days of Ruin, I would say. wounded can very easily become dead if, for example, they lose too much blood, and I don't know why I'm explaining that to him, of all people. This is actually deviating a little bit, this script here. It's interesting. Alright. Oh, there's more. Silly me. I'm sorry, Lynn, but I don't know what an airport is. Hopefully you guys do. Well, if he doesn't want his soldiers, we'll just take them. You know, we'll be stronger. Right, moving onwards as usual. Mission 8 is up next. There's another new trial map there, but I ain't interested. So what is this map? Can't say I remember. Flowers of Evil? Is that what it's called in Days of Ruin? Okay, Flowers of Evil. That's completely different from the Days of Ruin title. Yeah, I think I like the Dark Conflict title this time a little better. Flowers of Evil. Like, what is this? Are we at the bottom of... never mind. I was gonna make a reference, but I don't want to. So anyways, the beast is back. He wasn't done, apparently. But he's low on goods, so... not much you can do in a fight if you've got no ammo. Like, is he gonna punch the tanks to death? Yeah, I think he could punch the tanks. Your leg's not literally on fire, is it? Ah, now we have a name for this face. Say hello to Dr. Calder, or as he's known in Dark Conflict, Stolos. Now, I thought I would have to wait a little while to talk about Calder, because his name is very interesting. So, I looked this up. In Japan, he is named after a demon in the Ars Goetia. Look up what that is. I'm not explaining it now. So, it was just a generic demon in Japanese. In Dark Conflict, they changed his name to Stolos, which is also a demon from the Ars Goetia. It is an owl demon. Very interesting. This is technically the first instance of the owl theme that Calder / Stolos goes with. And they really they really kick it up a notch in Dark Conflict as well. It's going to be very interesting. I don't know where the name Calder comes from. I tried looking it up and couldn't really find anything. But yeah. Calder's a fun character, let's say. Oh, one other thing about Stolos. The demon Stolos is said to command 26 legions of demons. A very interesting number because there are 26 missions in the campaign of Days of Ruin. I swear that's gotta be a coincidence, but I think it's a very interesting fact to point out as well. So yes, Calder is going to reinforce the beast in his army, so we have to fight him again, I bet. Ah, come on, Lynn. Don't you know what being a good guy means? Of course she doesn't. Well, she does, but Lynn's pragmatic. But seriously though, Lynn, there's precious little life on the planet at this point. You should probably preserve as much of it as possible. Well, it looks like we're getting a meeting with them anyways. Ah, here he is again. An earthquake, huh? I guess nobody really knows what, like, I don't know if meteors would affect seismic activity that much, or other natural disasters. Aw, Brenner is such a good guy. This won't come back to bite him. No, sir. One extra text box. Nice one, Lynn. Basically, I'm calling you overweight, Mr. Mayor. I wish he'd say that. Luckily, this awkward conversation has been interrupted by an attack by the beast. So it's mission time. Ah, fog of war again. So is it time for a Lynn mission? I could go for that. Her theme is really good. Have I mentioned the music in this game, by the way? It's very excellent. Although some of the mission themes, they play so often that you'll probably get tired of them. Anyways, we have a new terrain, actually. It is a pillar of fire that generates visibility around it. I have no idea how it burns eternally like that, but there you go. Sometimes you'll find them. So we're getting introduced to transporters for the first time, actually. Transport copters. Let's see what they're called. Okay, similar to the... It's a trans helicopter. Oh, I want to make a joke, but I really shouldn't. And I don't want any of you to either, viewers. Like, I know what you're thinking. But anyways, transport helicopters. Look the same as always. So let's airlift our infantry over there, and let's damage this one. So, actually, I haven't mentioned something yet. You can reveal tiles in Fog of War by passing by them. Like, watch what happens when I move the B-copter this time. See, I passed by these two cities, and they were revealed. So that's something you can do, which is very important in air battles, because the fighter units in particular, they've got very big movement and actually pretty good visibility, so they can be a very effective scout. Right, so I'm going to... What should I do here? You can hide in the cities, so I think I'm going to airdrop the first one here so that the enemy does not touch the factory. I can't really get in range of... Well, I could get in range of the other one. Where is it? It's under the T-copter, right? So if I drop here, then the enemy cannot see either of these two infantry units. So nice and safe. Oh, oops. Recon, please. I'd like the recon. I don't know if there's dialogue on the second turn, so... What should I build? Well, considering this long bridge is here, probably... Well, I'll wait. We don't have a lot of money right now, so I will wait to start cranking out the artilleries. So we got some kind of medicine. Well, here they come. So I don't think there's any more dialogue, but I will play with both screens on at the same time for a little while longer. Oh, there was dialogue here. Wow, that's exactly the same in both versions. No deviations whatsoever, not even like a minor difference in wording. So yes, of course, this still works. Capturing bases will give you visibility for that base even when you don't have a unit there. First get the factories. There's no enemy units nearby. At least not that I know of. I'm going to transport a mech. Actually, I'm going to transport 2 mechs. Could have gotten an artillery there, but I don't mind. I'm actually going to just leave the tank here and go all the way around to his... He doesn't have an... Oh, he has an HQ here. Okay. Well, I guess I have to go that way anyways. Well, they wanted me to capture those factories, so I might as well have gotten to them. Oh, what happened? Did I not attack the... Huh. In the Days of Ruin, I somehow did not attack the infantry. Or did I? I didn't see. I guess that's a sign that it's time to switch to just playing Days of Ruin. I don't think there's any more dialogue until the end of the mission. Alright, so let's get going. Capture this and this. And now I can start cranking out the artillery on this side of the river. Let's try and get some more visibility out there. And I don't know if he has any anti-airs, but I wouldn't want to be the one that has to take the chance. Also, we do not have airports quite yet. Which is interesting because that means there's no way for the copters to get more fuel. It also means that they can't repair either, so you've got to be very careful not to let them take any hits. Or at least not too many big hits. So I can produce units over here, so let's get a tank and a recon. I want some visibility. Just inch by slowly. And no more units to transport quite yet. I should probably be going a little bit quicker because now that the enemy has a factory, they're going to be producing more units. So the longer I take, the longer this will take. Now I already made a big deal about not wanting to take so long. We can start making a dent in his units, however. So that's just what we'll do. Now, you guys probably know that I'm playing this on emulator. Like, duh, how else could I be playing both games at the same time? But I just realized that using the touch controls with a mouse and keyboard, well, really just a mouse, but using the touch controls like this is actually fairly nice and comfortable. So I wouldn't mind if, like, Advance Wars came out on PC or something. I know there's a couple of games like that, but you know what I mean. Actually, you know, I'm not... This is weird to say, but I don't know for sure if the Switch actually has a, Oh, a missile. How nice. I actually don't know if the Switch has touch controls. I think it does, but I've never used it in any of the games that might have had it. Right, so there's a lot of units over here, but it seems to just be recons. So, as long as I'm not accidentally in range of that missile, like I have done in the past, I've accidentally placed air units in missile range. So should I keep making units up here? I'm going to make a backup tank down here. So, nothing threatening. Oh, he's got a flare. Of course. I forgot about flares. I'm not building those because it takes a while for them to, like, get into position and then actually shoot off their flare. Now, you might have noticed that this game doesn't actually move the unit across the screen until you have committed to your move. That's something that they did because in the previous games, you could, like, test out the Fog of War. So, like, take a unit and just click here, click on this tile, see if there's anything, click on this tile, see if there's anything out there, etc. Not only did they not want you to do that, it could have also gotten frustrating because every time you do that, your fuel depletes in games before Days of Ruin. So it's a very good thing that they changed it, in my opinion. Oh, I see that I have left my bike in range of that mech. That'll cause it a little bit of damage unless I shoot first. There couldn't possibly be a missile anywhere, could there? Oh. Should have expected that. If I were paying attention, I might have noticed that the 1 HP recon had gone into the building to heal. But so far, I've been way too cautious. I guess that's thematic. You don't want to play caution while fighting the beast. Just get in there. Okay, maybe be a little bit more cautious than I was just now. Oh, boy. Let's get this guy out of the way. And I'm just going to go for a straight HQ capture. Right, so it's a good thing I made those backup tanks. Also, if anyone's wondering if there are CO dossiers in this game, there are, but you have to actually be able to use CO powers. That was pointed out to me in a previous comment. So, thank you, commenters. You're doing a very good job at keeping me informed, which is a very good thing, because I'm so forgetful that I have not remembered to do the War Room yet. Okay, before we clear the mission, we're gonna do War Room. I should have remembered that. I swore that I wasn't going to forget, but I did. Fly over here. Yes, you can see that the T-copters are now running low on fuel. Oh, whoops. Bad luck roll. So I guess that recon's going bye-bye. You pull back. I guess I don't really need to bother too much more with all of these units. I don't think I need to build anything more. Ah, see, the flare moved to defend the HQ. Or it could just be the AI naturally going for whatever has the highest defense. So I think we're good to go, as long as we don't lose anything more here. There's just the one unit left, so I could finish him on this turn. If that's... Oh, you can still see how many units he has left, even in Fog of War. So yes, that's the only unit left. I can totally blow it up with the infantry. I will be right back after finishing the Dark Conflict version of the map. So be right back in just a couple of minutes. Alright, I've returned, and I've gotten the mission completed in both versions. So, things ended up a little bit differently on these two versions, but yeah. Now we can go ahead and finish the mission, but first I'm going to do the War Room. It's possible that I already did this and I don't remember, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways. I can just cut this part out later if I have repeated the War Room. Oh great, Lynn's getting a little bit proud. I think she's lying, to be honest. Okay. It's gonna be weird for her to be giving all of this information when the mission is already done. Yeah, I completed the mission just fine on 1 artillery, thank you very much. Wow, 1,000 for Days of Ruin. Sorry, Will. And he actually does it, too. Thank goodness she was kidding after all. Okay, so with that out of the way, I'll use the touchscreen for this because on Days of Ruin, I routed, and in Dark Conflict I had to HQ capture. You've got tons more weapons, Drakov? Wait, what? Tons? I swear, that's gotta be a UK spelling thing, because, like, it's an EU localization, so it would make sense if they were using British spelling, but that's so strange. To this American, anyways. So yeah, the Beast is definitely much more crazy in Days of Ruin and is better off for it. I don't know, guys. You could have left a big stock of weapons behind as you were moving, but you wouldn't do that, would you? He played dead? I like the hide in a pile of corpses excuse much better. Oh, an A rank on both missions. Where did I fall off a little bit? I must have produced way too many units because... yeah, and now you see that the technique score does punish you for building too much. If that went perfectly according to plan, Lynn, then I would have gotten an S rank. Isabella's got a headache. Pay attention, she's about to dispense important information. Numbers. Oh, she's actually saying them? Wait a minute. Flashback to just 1 mission ago. Or 2. Yep, she's got the the creeper. Caught myself just in time. Well, it would be silly for them not to have a contingency plan, but considering what we know about the people who built this alleged shelter, they probably didn't. Notice that there are trees in the background, by the way. I guess those must have been there still. Yeah, actually, we've got trees and forest tiles, too. The meteors probably should have wiped all of that out, but... And there's no sunlight for new ones to grow either, so... I guess I'm just poking holes in the world building. I really shouldn't do that. Pay attention to the plot. The plot's more important. I see they decided not to repeat that catchphrase in Dark Conflict. Alright, so that mission is over with, and next up well, the mission name spoils it. We have another battle with the Beast coming up. But until then, I'm going to stop this video before it gets even longer. It's even longer than the previous one at the rate we're going. So, next up, Mission 9. See you later, everybody.